Have you ever wondered what it looks like when a superpower decides to absolutely make an example of someone? Well, today we're diving straight into the source, the historian Josephus, to see the chilling precision Rome used to build an army. An army designed not just to win a war, but to completely crush a rebellion.
So, how does an empire crush a rebellion? It's about more than just winning battles, right? It's about sending a message. A message so brutal, so absolute, that the very idea of fighting back becomes unthinkable. Rome was the absolute master of this, and their textbook response all kicked off with one single fateful mistake in the hills of Galilee.
Okay, so our story starts with the Jewish commander, Josephus. Yep, the same guy who's writing all this down. And he's got a problem. The Galilean city of Sepphoris, it's sided with Rome, and Roman troops are already there, using it as a launchpad to just wreck the countryside. Now, get this. This isn't even the main Roman army we're talking about yet. These are just the local auxiliaries, 7,000 of them, and they're already causing total chaos. So Josephus, seeing the city that he himself had told them to fortify, makes a huge gamble. He decides to strike now, before the real legions show up. Yeah, that did not work out. The assault was a complete disaster. Not only did he fail to take the city, but this one little act of defiance was all the excuse the local Roman forces needed to unleash what they called the law of war. And trust me, that law was anything but fair. So what happened next? Well, it wasn't some strategic military move. No, this was pure, unadulterated terror. That one failed attack on Sepphoris became the justification for punishing the entire region of Galilee. The Roman playbook here was just brutal and efficient. First, burn the fields. Make sure everyone starves. Second, take the livestock. Destroy their entire economy. And then you turn to the people. Anyone who could even potentially hold a weapon was killed on sight. The rest, the elderly, women, and children, they were rounded up and sold into slavery. Josephus himself, who saw all this, describes the absolute horror. The only way to survive was to run and hide in the few fortified cities. This wasn't war. It was the deliberate, violent dismantling of a whole society. But here's the craziest part. This was just the warm-up act. This was just the work of the auxiliaries. The real army, well, it was still on its way. So, word gets back to Emperor Nero, and he sends his top general, Vespasian, to sort this out. And right away, Vespasian's son, Titus, starts racing across the map to meet him, bringing the very heart of Rome's military might with him. You see, Rome's power wasn't just about swords and shields. It was about logistics. I mean, just look at this journey. Titus moves from Greece all the way to Egypt, gathering his forces, and then marches with incredible speed to the coast of Galilee. This, right here, is what a true empire can do. Move a massive army across the known world with terrifying purpose. And this is where they all meet up, the backbone of the Roman army, the 5th, the 10th, and the 15th legions. Now, these aren't your average soldiers. These guys are the most disciplined, battle-hardened, and feared fighting units in the entire ancient world. But even these 3 incredible legions were only one part of the force. Okay, so this is really important to understand. A Roman army was so much more than just its legions. It was a complex, multi-layered machine built for one thing: conquest. So let's break down exactly what Vespasian put together there at Ptolemais. On top of those famous legions, Vespasian had a massive force of supporting infantry, 23 cohorts in total. That's almost 18,000 extra foot soldiers, plus specialized cavalry. The sheer scale here is just starting to become mind-boggling. And this is where you really see Rome's genius, or, its ruthlessness. They didn't just fight with their own soldiers. They made their allies send troops. Here, you've got 4 client kings providing thousands of their best soldiers, archers, and horsemen to make the Roman army even bigger. So if you wanted to fight Rome, you weren't just fighting Rome. You were fighting their entire network. All right, so let's add it all up. We've got the legions, the cohorts, the cavalry, the thousands of allied troops. It's time to see the full, terrifying picture that Josephus and the Galilean rebels were about to face. 60,000. Let that sink in for a second. 60,000 professional, hardened fighting men. That's a tidal wave of steel and discipline, and it's all aimed at one single rebellious province. But believe it or not, that huge number doesn't even tell the whole story. Josephus points out this hidden layer, this kind of secret weapon that nobody ever talks about, the servants who followed every soldier and officer. I mean, this quote from Josephus is just wow. He's telling us these weren't just guys carrying bags and supplies. These servants were trained warriors, every bit as skilled and as strong as the legionaries themselves. Which means that 60,000 figure, that was just the official count. The real number of fighters was way, way higher. So here it is, the big takeaway. When we talk about the Roman army, we shouldn't just picture the guys in the famous armor. We need to picture this, a complete war machine, pulling in strength from every corner of the empire and from every level of its own structure. It was all designed for one single purpose: absolute, total domination. And that leaves us with this final, chilling question. When you really understand the sheer, overwhelming power that was coming for them, I mean, a force designed not just to win, but to completely annihilate, what do you call the people who stood against it? Was that an act of unbelievable courage, or was it just a tragic, hopeless folly from the very beginning? That's something to think about.